I'm the messenger of Yah, stepping out of Beulah. From Babylon to Zion, my chains are looser in my mind, but out here the jakes will shoot ya. The judges judge for hire, the juries are straight liars. Just to see Israel fried up, they got our phones tapped and wired up. The police got you stuck, no one desires us. This law requires us to buy this man's trust. Pay to get salvation, who you playing? But I pulled your card, I seen your stars, they false lights. My spirit spit lyrics so cold, your frostbite. And that's the attitude from your murderous plight. From your rapists every night, and young boys shot down in the street in they mama's sight. Your overseers call this the good life, like the hood's right. Rep Zion, that's right. Yah's way, that's life. The ships of Tarshish, the glory of Lebanon will offload to Yah's land. That's what we stepping on. The next plane won't miss the Pentagon. The bees is dying, Florida is drying. Look like death coming to Babylon. The nation about to be born. A pure language giving the call on the name of Yah. All people will serve the sun, the black supremacist. No hippie on the stick, looking like Dennis the Menace. The demon is finished. When the wicked fall, the meek increase. Israel is free. Rejoice in the death of the beast. The resurrection of Yah's people. All your children will be righteous, walking in Yah's likeness, mirth and happiness. All glory in the land that Yah is blessed. See the truth manifesting Yah's and blessed.
Shalom, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, giving all praise and honor to the Holy One of Israel, to the Creator of the heaven, the earth, the sea, and all that is therein is, by saying hallelujah. Praise the mighty Yah. Yah is righteous, Yah is holy, and let Yahweh be magnified. Once again, the Creator has allowed us to come before you another day, another night, bringing to you his great, holy, and exalted words, even the words of truth. My name is Mowreh IshYAH YIsraEL of the House of Israel, located right here in Cincinnati, Ohio, 1907 Vine Street, bringing to you nothing but the truth. And yes, it is true. All we're going to do is tell you the truth, for Yah ordained me to tell you the truth. And this is what I'm going to do. And who is this Yah? Yah is the creator of the heaven, the earth, the sea, and all that is therein is. Yah is the Elohim of our fathers, the Elohim of Abraham, Yitzhak, and YIsraEL, whom you may know as Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Yah is our king. He's our judge. He's our lawgiver. And Yah is our only Savior, and not just of Israel. Yah is the Savior of the world. And I praise the mighty Yah once again for his great, holy, and exalted words that he has allowed us to come before you another night. Last night, one of our beloved Mowrehs, Mowreh IshYAH, started our programs dealing with the servant in the scriptures. And the servant of Yahweh is called by different names, but it's all point to the fact that they are servants. Many people are under the erroneous impression if you're called a prophet, then you're a prophet. But little do people know there's various different names that Yahweh will call us, signifying that we are indeed not just his servant, but a particular type, a servant that only he and he can define. And we're going to show you the various different types of names that Yahweh will call his people, and particularly a elected seed of Israelites that he will call a servant. But not just a servant, as I stated before, even different names. Last night, we brought to your attention that one of the names that Yahweh will call his servants is by the title, and it's really not a title, but for the sake of argument, title Mowreh. Now, the vast majority of the people in the Israelite community, they never seen this. They never seen one person being called a Mowreh in the scriptures. And many of them have never seen the word Mowreh in the scriptures. And those who have, they think it's just a place. But they are sadly mistaken. And then many of them have no idea what a Mowreh means and don't understand why we will call ourselves Mowreh. And in truth, the reason why we call ourselves Mowreh is because we were inspired to call ourselves Mowreh. And this inspiration only can come from one place and one place only, and that is the heavens above. That's why you don't hear a lot of teachers calling themselves Mowreh, because they don't even think it's in the scriptures, period. And those who do call themselves Mowreh, generally and typically, it is because they came from a certain select, elected house called the house of Israel. And let me show you some scriptures on this, because I want you to see, yes, it is called a place, but it's also the name of exactly what it signifies. And let me show you that. The first place that you would even see this term Mowreh in the scriptures is in the book of Genesis, the 12th chapter. And yes, our brother pointed this out already and showed you wonderfully that nothing and absolutely nothing can be done without some type of Mowreh. And what do the word Mowreh mean? Well, the word Mowreh means teacher. How can you do anything without a teacher? How can you even learn the words of Yahweh without a teacher, a Mowreh? Because that's what the word means. In the book of Genesis, the 12th chapter, this is what it says Abraham did in the book of Genesis 12, starting at the 4th verse. So Abram departed as Yahweh had spoken to him, and Lot went with him, and Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. And Abram took Sarai his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all their substance that they had gathered, and the souls that they had gotten in Haran, and they went forth to go into the land of Canaan. And into the land of Canaan they came. Now here, if you don't know anything about the land of Canaan is what we know of as the promised land. It is the land of the Canaanites in which Yahweh gave to the children of Israel. But before Israel was a nation, a people, this Abram, who became Abraham or Abraham, visited this land. And when he visited this land, after Yahweh had told him to leave his family, leave out of his own country, leave his own kinfolk, leave his father's house. And look where Yahweh would take him. In the land of Canaan. The 6th verse. And Abram passed through the land to the place of Shechem, to the plain of Mowreh. And the Canaanite was then in the land, because that's where the Canaanites was. That's why it's called the land of Canaan. And this is what we know of as the promised land. But this plain, this little town and area and location that Abraham was sent, was in the plain of Mowreh. And what do the word Mowreh mean? Well, all you got to do is look it up, and it means teacher. That's what it means. Teacher. So the first person, the first man in the scriptures that was called a prophet, this name, Mowreh, was connected to him. And not just there. If you go to the book of Deuteronomy, the 11th chapter, which is the book of the law, watch what it says. And we're doing a recap on this before we get into the second type of servant. This is one of the first type of servants, because how can you do anything without a Mowreh? You don't even know nothing without a Mowreh. In the book of Deuteronomy, the 11th chapter, this is what it says. The 29th verse. And it shall come to pass, when Yahweh your Elohim has brought you into the land where you go to possess it, that you shall put the blessing. Watch what it says now. You shall put the blessing upon Mount Gerizim, and the curse upon Mount Ebal. Are they not on the other side of Jordan, by the way where the sun goes down, in the land of the Canaanites, which dwell in the desert over against Gilgal, beside the plains of Mowreh? In other words, this is where they put the law. This is where they put the blessing and the curse, which is the law. And not just the law, it is also the covenant of Yahweh. So just think about this. Imagine if the law, the covenant of Yahweh, was even in the plain of Mowreh. Then what in the world do you think it would be with someone who is called a Mowreh, ordained to be a Mowreh? We find it in the plain of Mowreh, let alone with one that is called Mowreh. That's where the law is. In the book of Judges. Turn there. Because you need to know the difference in the very types of servants of Yahweh. Some people think they elders, and we're going to show you what a true elder in the scriptures are. Some people think they prophets, and we're going to show you what a true prophet is in the scriptures. Some people think they are servant of Yahweh, and we're going to show you tonight what a true servant of Yahweh is. In the book of Judges, the 7th chapter, and this is what it says in the very first verse. Then Jerubbaal, who is Gideon, and we know who Gideon is. Gideon was one of the judges of Yahweh, one of his servants. And all the people that were with him rose up early and pitched beside the well of Harod, so that the host of the Midianites were on the north side of them, by the hill of Mowreh, in the valley. So the first thing I wanted you to see, not only was this a place, but it was a place where Yahweh wanted the law placed in. Because the word Mowreh means teacher. It means to teach. But Yahweh will also rain down his word. And Yahweh's word don't come from the sun, the moon, and the stars. It don't come from man or the sea. Yahweh said his word is settled in heaven. So his word come from heaven. And that should make sense to you because it says heaven is his throne and earth is his footstool. So anytime Yahweh want to rain down his word unto his people, it has to come from heaven. And little do people know that when our people begin to learn the words of Yahweh, see, these are just words, but it's Yahweh who have to open up your understanding of these words. He must magnify these words that you might be able to know them and that you might be able to do them. And that's done through his great rain that he will rain down upon his servants. An example of this is in the book of Joel, if you turn there. Joel, the 2nd chapter. This is what Yahweh prophesied he would do. And I may add, he has done what he said he would do. And watch what it says. The book of Joel. We see a place called Mowreh, and in this place is where they place the law. It's where they place the blessing and the cursing. But it wasn't just in a place. Watch what it says. In the book of Joel, the 2nd chapter, we'll start reading at the 21st verse. Fear not, O land. Be glad and rejoice, for Yahweh will do great things. Be not afraid, you beasts of the field. For the pastures of the wilderness do spring. For a tree bears her fruit. Fig tree and the vine do yield their strength. Be glad then, you children of Zion. And why are you going to be glad, you children of Zion? And rejoice in Yahweh your Elohim. For he has given you the former rain moderately, and he will cause to come down for you the rain, the former rain, and the latter rain in the first. And in a lot of your scriptures, it have month in italics because he's not talking about the first month. He's not talking about that at all. But he's telling you what he's going to do first in order for you to receive the rain that only he can give you. And let's interpret what Yahweh has said in this 23rd verse. And watch what it says again. Be glad then, you children of Zion, and rejoice in Yahweh your Elohim. For he has given you, in English it'll say, the former rain moderately, but not so in Hebrew. In Hebrew, for he has given you the former, it don't say former rain moderately, he has given you a Mowreh. And why would it say a Mowreh? Because he's letting you know he's giving you a teacher that comes from him. And you don't have to go by what I'm saying. Look it up for yourself. And he will cause to come down for you to rain. And what will he rain down? His spirit. And then it says the former rain, which that ain't what it says in Hebrew. In Hebrew, it says, cause to come down for you to rain. The Mowreh, the latter, rain at the first. In other words, little do people know, Yahweh has already sent teachers to make the crooked things straight, to magnify his law and make it honorable. And of course, the average person don't know this, because they believe and think that every man is the same. Well, if every man was the same, then why did Yahweh make Moses a god, an Elohim to the people? If every man was the same. Because every man is not the same. And you're going to see that everyone is not the same. And this is what we were pointing out, or my beloved Mowreh IshYAH was pointing out last night in the book of Hosea, the 6th chapter, if you turn there. And what are we discussing? The different types of servants of Yahweh. Our people, they call themselves Mowreh, but they have no idea why they're called this. If you ever ask them, is this word in the scriptures? Have anybody ever been called in the scriptures? They're not going to be able to show you unless they've been listening to us. And this is what it says in the book of Hosea, the 6th chapter. The first verse, come and let us return unto Yahweh, for he has torn, and he will heal us. He has smitten, and he will bind us up. After 2 days, he will revive us. And in the third day, he will raise us up, and we shall live in his sight. Then shall we know, if we follow on to know Yahweh. His going forth is prepared as the morning, and he shall come to us. Yahweh saying this is how he's going to come to us. And Yahweh shall come to us as the rain, as the latter and former rain to the earth. And what is this latter and former rain? Yahweh's Mowreh, his teacher, who Yahweh will use to magnify the law and make it honorable, whom Yahweh will use to make the crooked things straight. And here it is, not only this was a name of a place where the law was put, where the covenant would stand, where the blessing and the cursing was nailed to. But this also was the name of teachers that Yahweh will endow with his spirit to teach his people his words. And the reason, some people might, why couldn't they just translate it right? Why put the word former rain or latter rain? Why put rain at all? See, Yahweh's ways are not your ways. Nor is his thoughts your thoughts. Yahweh say, it is The honor of kings, or it is the glory of Yahweh to conceal a thing, and the honor of kings to search it out. And Yahweh want to see, what type of servant are you? Are you a servant that will search out a thing that breeds honor? Or are you the simple that believe it every word? Soon as somebody start running in your ear and talking in your ear, you believe it, and now your whole countenance, attitude, behavior is changed because you allowed some words to be spoken to you, and now you're different. And Yahweh called that the simple, and you didn't search nothing out. You believed it because you wanted to believe it, and since you didn't search it out, shame and confusion belong unto you. But not so to the honorable. Yahweh also let us know in the book of Hosea, the 10th chapter, concerning this word Mowreh. In many places, it will have a Hebrew word Yarah, which also means teacher. So not only use Mowreh, but Yarah. But both Yahweh have to rain them down to you. In the book of Hosea, the 10th chapter, the 12th verse, this is what it says. Sow to yourselves in righteousness. Reap in mercy. Break up your fallow ground. For it is time to seek Yahweh till he comes and rains righteousness upon you. And what do you think this rain is? Well, you look it up and you will see. This rain is not the same word Yahweh used when he talked about raining on the earth 40 days and 40 nights. No, it's not the same word at all. This word means to teach, to point, to shoot forth, to show. And that's the type of righteousness Yahweh is pointing and showing you and teaching you through his servant, the Mowreh. And then all over the scriptures, Yahweh will have another type a servant that he just called his servant. Now he gave his servant a name that only Yahweh can give. Here it is. You can go through the scriptures and identify the various names that Yahweh gave to people he loved, people he had a very close relationship with. And there is no closer relationship that Yahweh had with anybody other than his people. And look what Yahweh said about this great people in the book of Isaiah 49. Since we talked about the Mowreh, Now we're going to talk about his servant. But his servant was called a name. And let me show you who this servant is. Because everybody is not called a Mowreh. But most people in the Israelite community, they believe that everybody is called a servant of Yahweh. And I'm going to show you that that's not even true. Here it is in the book of Isaiah, the 43rd chapter. The 49th chapter. The very first verse. Listen, O isles, unto me. Listen, you people from afar. Yahweh has called me from the womb. From the bowels of my mother made he mention of my name. And he's going to tell you the name Yahweh made mention of. And he has made me like a sharp sword. Why? Because he wants me to speak his word. In the shadow of his hand has he hidden me until he was ready to shoot me forth, to point me out, and made me a polished shaft. In his quiver has he hidden me, and said unto me, you are my servant, O Israel, or YIsraEL, in whom I will be glorified. So Yahweh had a servant, and this servant was called Israel. And Israel is Yahweh's servant. But everybody that's an Israelite is not this type of servant. In the book of Isaiah 42. How can you call yourself being a servant of Yahweh and you're not even doing Yahweh's works? You're not even interested in doing Yahweh's work. You don't even have desires of doing the work of Yahweh. And then you don't even know Yahweh. Watch this. Let's see if I'm wrong and you're right. In the book of Isaiah 42, this is what it says in the very first verse. Behold my servant. Now, who did he say his servant was? Israel, whom I uphold. Mine elect, in whom my soul delights. And I can assure you, Yahweh is not electing all of Israel. And Yahweh don't delight. His soul don't delight in all Israel. And because of that, Yahweh said this, I have put my spirit upon him, and he shall bring forth judgment to the Gentiles. He shall not cry nor lift up, nor cause his voice to be heard in the street. A bruised reed shall he not break. A smoking flax shall he not quench. He shall bring judgment unto truth. He shall not fail nor be discouraged till he has set judgment in the earth, and the isles shall wait for his law. Now, who would do this? Why you think he said, behold my servant? Because his servant would do this. This is what his servant would do. One that serves him and him only. Not these people who will put something beside next to our Creator. No, those who will witness and witness only to Yahweh himself. Look at this. Yahweh loved this servant so much. He said in the 6th verse, I, Yahweh, have called you in righteousness and will hold your hand and will keep you and give you for a covenant of the people, for a light to the Gentiles, to open the blind eyes, to bring out the prisoners from the prison, and them that sit in darkness out of the prison house. In other words, to be a servant of Yahweh, you're going to have to serve Yahweh. There's some works you're going to have to do. Watch what he says in the book of Isaiah 41. Speaking of the servant in the scriptures, the servant of Yahweh. We showed you some scriptures that you can verify if you wrote them down to see if we was telling you the truth about his servant, the Mowreh. But now I'm talking about his elected, chosen servant, whom his soul delights in, who is to bring judgment unto the truth. Bring judgment unto the Gentiles. It says in the book of Isaiah 41, the 8th verse, but you, Israel, are my servant, Yaakov, whom I have chosen, the seed of Abraham, my friend. You whom I have taken from the ends of the earth, and called you from the chief men thereof, and said unto you, you are my servant. I've chosen you and not cast you away. Fear you not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your Elohim. I will strengthen you. Yea, I will help you. Yea, I will uphold you with the right hand of my righteousness. This is what Yahweh will do for his chosen, his elected seed, servant that will do his bidding. The servant in the scriptures. Today, many of our people don't identify with this servant because they're not serving anyway. They don't identify with this servant because then that means you are required to listen to what this servant is saying, since Yahweh loves him so much. Since he's elected and chosen by Yahweh. Watch what the Creator say about this servant and his relationship with him. In the book of Isaiah 43:1, but now thus says Yahweh that created you, O Yaakov, and he that formed you, O YIsraEL. Fear not, for I've redeemed you. I have called you by your name, and you are mine. So much so, when you pass through the waters, I will be with you. Through the rivers, they shall not overflow you. When you walk through the fire, you shall not be burnt, neither shall the flame kindle upon you. And we don't have to go far to understand and to know that is true. What you think happened to Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah in the book of Daniel? Were not they thrown in the fiery furnace? And did any fire get on them? Any smoke get on them? No, it did not. Just like Yahweh said it wouldn't. For I am Yahweh your Elohim, the Holy One of Israel, your Savior. I gave Egypt for your ransom, Ethiopia and Seba for you. And why? Because Yahweh said he will give people for our life. Since you were precious in my sight, you have been honorable, and I've loved you, therefore will I give men for you and people for your life. Fear not, for I am with you. I will bring your seed from the east, gather you from the west. I will say to the north, give up. To the south, keep not back. Bring my sons from afar, and my daughters from the ends of the earth, even every one that is called by my name. For I've created him for my glory. I formed him, yea, I have made him. And who is this? Yes, his servant Israel. But not just any Israelite. His chosen, his elected one, whom his soul delights in. And why? Because he put his spirit upon him to do what? To do his bidding. Whatever he wanted done, he will do it through his servant. And I don't expect everybody to understand this greatness of Yahweh. I'm here just to tell you the truth. But this is what Yahweh will do. This is what Yahweh have done. This is what Yahweh is doing with his servant. In the book of Isaiah 44:1, it says, yet now hear, O Yaakov, my servant, and Israel, whom I have chosen. Thus says Yahweh that made you, and formed you from the womb, which will help you. Fear not, O Yaakov, my servant, and you, Jeshurun, whom I have chosen. I will pour water upon him that is thirsty, floods upon the dry ground. For I will pour my spirit upon your seed, and my blessing upon your offspring. And they shall spring up as among the grass, as willows by the watercourses. And one shall say, I am Yahweh's. And another shall call himself by the name of Yaakov. And another shall subscribe with his hand, literally write with his hand, unto Yahweh, and surname himself by the name of YIsraEL. And why would you do that? Because the spirit that Yahweh will pour upon you, and the blessing he will pour upon your offspring. And where do you think this spirit come from? Yes, his heaven. And this spirit that he will pour upon you, it's a spirit that will inspire you to take on the name of your Creator. Because he is the Holy One of Israel. He called you by his name. You also find in the book of Isaiah 63. Turn there. Talking about the servant in the scriptures. We talked about a Mowreh. Now we're just talking about those who just called a servant, but not just any servant. This is a special type of servant that Yahweh will put his spirit upon. And make no mistake about it. Yahweh's spirit is not upon everybody. Because then everybody, if his spirit was on everybody, then nobody would have to teach nobody anything. But no, Yahweh rained down his Mowreh to come teach you. What do you think the word Mowreh means? And Yahweh put his spirit upon his servant to do his will. It says, Isaiah 63 and 16, doubtless you are our Father. In other words, it ain't even a doubt whether you are our Father or not. Not some JC or anybody else. Though Abraham was ignorant of us, and Israel acknowledged us not. You, O Yahweh, are our Father, our Redeemer. Your name is from everlasting. O Yahweh, why have you made us to err from your ways? Harden our heart from your fear. Return your servants' sakes, the tribes of your inheritance. The people of your holiness have possessed it but a little while. Our adversaries have trodden down your sanctuary. And watch what the 19th verse says. We are yours. You never bore rule over them, and they were not called by your name. Because the only people that was called by your name, Yahweh, is your servant. Furthermore, all through the scriptures, you're going to see this. Sometimes it just say servant. But then sometimes it will tell you the exact particular servant by name who he is speaking of. But right here it just lets us know in the book of Jeremiah 15, the 15th verse, O Yahweh, you know, remember me, visit me, revenge me of my persecutors. Take me not away in your long suffering. Know that for your sake I've suffered rebuke. Your words are found, and I did eat them. Are you eating the words of Yahweh? This is what is said in Jeremiah. Your words were found, and I did eat them. Your word was to me the joy and the rejoicing of my heart. For I am called by your name, O Yahweh, Elohim of hosts. I'm called by your name. And what name is that? Israel. That is the name that Yahweh gave us because he is the Holy One of Israel. So yes, this is Yahweh's servant. And many can wear that title, servant. But the vast majority of our people, no, they can't wear that. That's why in the scriptures, like I said before, some people was just called a servant. And Yahweh, he didn't need to let you know their name because they was just Yahweh's servant that will do his will. And then there's some that Yahweh wanted you to know their name. The type of servant he will give. In the book of Psalms, the 19th division of Psalms, Psalm 19, the 7th verse. The law of Yahweh is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of Yahweh is sure, making wise the simple. The statutes of Yahweh are right, rejoicing the heart. The commandment of Yahweh is pure, enlightening the eyes. The fear of Yahweh is clean, enduring forever. The judgments of Yahweh are true and righteous altogether. More to be desired are they than gold. Yea, than much fine gold, sweeter also than the honey and the honeycomb. Moreover, by them is your servant warned, and in keeping of them there's great reward. See, in other words, this is how Yahweh's servant is warned by Yahweh's word. Who can understand his errors? Cleanse thou me from secret faults. Keep back your servant also from presumptuous sins. Let them not have dominion over me. Then shall I be upright, and thou shalt be innocent from the great transgression. And this is how you want to meditate. This is how you want to think. Because you're supposed to be Yahweh's servant. In the book of Psalms 27. And this is what it says. The 7th verse. Hear, O Yahweh, when I cry with my voice. Have mercy also upon me and answer me. When you said, seek you my face, Mowreh said to you, your face, Yahweh, will I see. Hide not your face far from me. Put not your servant away in anger. You have been my help. Leave me not. Neither forsake me, O Elohim of my salvation. Because this is Yahweh's servant who will do Yahweh's will. Here it is in the book of Isaiah 53. Let me show you this. Because all over the scriptures, Yahweh talked about his elected ones, his servant that will do certain things. such as this servant in Isaiah 53. Who has believed our report? Our report. A lot of people ain't believed it. They don't believe that Yahweh has a controversy with our people or the world, even though we showed them right in black and white. And since they don't believe that, many of them decided that they wouldn't fast before Yahweh. That's not necessary. Fast for what? I did no wrong. But even if I did wrong, I'm not inspired to fast. I don't want to fast. But where do it say that in the law? But even if you shown in the law, you still didn't believe the report. So you either didn't fast or you stopped your fast. And you know who you are. But you heard about it. Even though, hold your page here at Isaiah 53. I want you to see this. Even though Yahweh said this in the book of Joel, I want you to see this. And I know you don't want to see it, but I'm going to show you anyway. In the book of Joel. The 16th verse. Or the 15th verse. Blow the trumpet in Zion. And who is Zion? Yahweh's people. It's not just a place. Sanctify a fast. Call a solemn assembly. Gather the people. Sanctify the congregation. Assemble the elders. Gather the children and those that suck the breast. And let the bridegroom go forth from his chamber, and the bride out of her closet. And let the priests, the ministers of Yahweh, weep between the porch and the altar, and let them say, spare your people, O Yahweh, and give not your heritage to reproach, that the heathen should rule over them. And why should they say among the people, where is their Elohim? Yahweh, our people always knew exactly what to do in the time of trouble. But our people today do you think they know what to do? No. And why don't they know what to do? Well, undoubtedly, it's very easy. All they got to do is ask themselves, are they a servant of Yahweh? Because Yahweh's servant, this is exactly what he would do. And that's sanctify a fast unto Yahweh. And actually do it. Going back to Isaiah 53, and you don't believe the report, you think nobody see you, but Yahweh see you. And to whom is the arm of Yahweh revealed? Who is that? The arm of Yahweh revealed. Who is this revelation to? And look, he's letting you know that, watch this story. He's telling you what's happening. He's prophesying to you. You're not going to believe the report, or who has believed our report? Very few. And to whom is the arm of Yah revealed. For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant. And as a root out of the dry ground, he has no form, no comeliness. And when we shall see him, there is no beauty that we should even desire him. And you don't, because he's just a man. He's sinful too. He's just like us. So you have no desire to do anything that he's saying. He's despised and rejected by men, man of sorrows, acquainted with grief. And we hid, as it were, our faces from him. He was despised, and we esteemed him not. And why did you despise him? Why did you reject him? Because he was speaking Yahweh's word. Surely he has borne our griefs. Why? Because he had to take it to a bunch of people that wouldn't listen anyway. Carried our sorrows, yet did esteem him stricken, smitten by Elohim, and afflicted. And all the prophets, all Yahweh's servants, the Mowrehs, they know the affliction in going to Yahweh's people. He was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and by his stripes we are healed. All we like sheep have gone astray. We have turned everyone to his own way. Yahweh has laid on him the iniquity of us all. He was oppressed. He was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. He was brought as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before the shears is dumb, so he opened not his mouth. He was no hippie on a stick talking about, Father, Father, take this cup from me. No, not this servant. This servant wanted the cup, drunk the cup, and lived out the cup. He was taken from prison and judgment, and who shall declare his generation? In other words, who gonna know when he comes? Who's gonna declare it? Who's gonna recognize it when he's here? For he was cut off out of the land of living. For the transgression of my people was he stricken, and you didn't know who this was. And he made his grave with the wicked, and with the rich in his death, because he has done no violence, neither was any deceit in his mouth. Yet it pleased Yahweh to bruise him. He has put him to grief. When you shall make his soul an offering for sin, he shall see his seed, he shall prolong his days, and the pleasure of Yahweh shall prosper in his hand. And Yahweh's greatest pleasure is turning the wicked from evil to do what is lawful and right in his sight. He shall see the labor of his soul and shall be satisfied. And watch whom Yahweh called this individual or these people. By his knowledge shall my righteous servant justify many, for he shall bear their iniquities. Yeah, this is Yahweh's righteous servant. And who do you think we talking about today? Yahweh's servant. First we talked about the Mowreh. Now we're talking about his righteous servant, his elected one, his chosen one, the one in whom his soul delight. You don't delight him. Matter of fact, you despise him. You reject him. And don't even know the generations in which he come from. So you won't declare it. Watch what it says in Isaiah 52. Seventh verse. How beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of him that brings good tidings, that publish peace, and that brings good tidings of good, that publish salvation, that says unto Zion, your Elohim reigns. Your watchmen shall lift up the voice. And we're going to talk about the watchmen too. With the voice together shall they sing, because we think these watchmen is a bunch of leaders. And you're going to see that ain't what the watchman is at all. For they shall see eye to eye when Yahweh shall bring again Zion. And there's many today that sing eye to eye. And you don't even know it. Break forth into sing joy. Sing together, you waste places of Jerusalem. For Yahweh has comforted his people. He has redeemed Jerusalem. Yahweh has made bare his holy arm in the eyes of all the nations. And all the ends of the earth shall see the salvation of our Elohim. And watch what it says. Depart you. Depart you. Go you out from there. Touch no unclean thing. Go out of the midst of her and be you clean. That bear the vessels of Yahweh. And when you do this, watch how you're not going to do it. The 12th verse. For you shall not go out with haste. In other words, you ain't going to have to rush like our people did in the days of old in Egypt. They went out in haste. Nor go by flight. You're not going to be chased out of her like they did in Egypt. For Yahweh will go before you, and the Elohim of Israel will be your rear guard. But watch this 13th verse. Behold, my servant shall deal prudently. Did not you read that in book of Isaiah 42? Did not it say, behold, my servant? Behold, my servant shall deal prudently. And what is this prudent thing that his servant would do? What is this deal that his servant will deal? And since he will deal prudently, he shall be exalted, he shall be extolled, and be very high. As many were astonished at you. His vices were so marred more than any man, and his form more than the sons of men. So shall he sprinkle many nations. Kings shall shut their mouths at him. For that which had not been told them shall they see, and that which they had not heard shall they consider. This is what Yahweh would do with his servant. Why do you think Yahweh said, behold him, behold my servant? Because his servant, whose name is Israel, Yahweh would do wonders with his servant. Watch what it says. In the book of Isaiah. the 60th chapter. In the book of Isaiah 60. Show you what else Yahweh's servant will do. In the first verse, arise and shine, for your light is come, and the glory of Yahweh is risen upon you. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, gross darkness the people, but Yahweh shall rise upon you, and his glory shall be seen upon you. And the Gentiles shall come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your rising. Lift up your eyes round about and see. Oh, they gather themselves together. They come to you. Your sons shall come from afar. Your daughters shall be nursed at your side. Then shall you see and flow together, and your heart shall fear and be enlarged, because the abundance of the sea shall be converted unto you. The forces of the Gentiles shall come unto you. The multitude of camels shall cover you. The dromedaries of Midian and Ephah, all they from Sheba shall come, and they shall bring gold and incense, and they shall show forth the praises of Yahweh. All the flocks of Kedar shall be gathered together unto you. The rams of Naboth shall minister unto you. They shall come up with acceptance on my altar, and I will glorify the house of my glory. You see what Yahweh will do for his righteous servant, his elected ones, his chosen ones, one in whom his soul delights in. Yes, this is what Yahweh will do. Also, in the book of Isaiah, one more time. The 41st, Isaiah 41. It's something that I should have read to you earlier. I'm going back to it, just so you can see it. The first verse, Isaiah 41. Keep silence before me, O islands, and let the people renew their strength. Let them come near, let them speak, and let us come near together to judgment. Who raised up the righteous man from the east? Who is this righteous man? Called him to his feet, gave the nations before him, and made him rule over kings. He gave them as the dust to the sword, and as driven stubble to his bow. He pursued them and passed safely, even by the way that he had not gone with his feet. Who has worked and done it, calling the generations from the beginning. I, Yahweh, the first, and with the last I am he. This is Yahweh. Watch what the Most High let us know. Same chapter, 41. And watch what it says. The 13th verse. For I, Yahweh, your Elohim, will hold your right hand, saying unto you, fear not, I will help you. Watch what Yahweh says. Fear not, your worm, Yaakov, and you men of Israel. I will help you, says Yahweh, and your Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. And what is Yahweh saying? He said, don't even fear your death. You're going to go through hard times. You're going to go through the fire. You're going to go through adversity. But fear not. Don't be dismayed. Be strong and be of good courage, because this is who you are. This is who you're supposed to be. Yahweh's righteous, elected, chosen servant. One in whom his soul delights in. I know the people going to reject you. The people will despise you. But Yahweh, he will love you. That's what Yahweh will do. Is not this what Yahweh said in the book of Malachi, the first chapter? The first verse. Malachi 1:1. The burden of the word of Yahweh to Israel by Malachi. I've loved you, says Yahweh. Yet you said, wherein have you loved us? Was not Esau Yaakov's brother, says Yahweh? Yet I love Yaakov, and I hated Esau, and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Whereas Edom said, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. And that's what they're trying to do today. But thus says Yahweh folks, they shall build, but I will throw down. And they shall call them the border of wickedness, and that's what they're doing today. And the people against whom Yahweh has indignation forever. And your eyes shall see, and we see it today. And you shall say, Yahweh
90 seconds
will be magnified from the border of Israel. And look what Yahweh says. A son, he honor his father, because that's what's the true nature of a son. That's what he was made and designed to do. A servant, his master, because that's what he was
60
made
seconds
and designed to do. If then I am a father, where's my honor? If I am a master, where is my fear? And how can you serve Yahweh? How can you be considered a servant of Yahweh and not fear your master. Well, in truth, you can't. That's why
10
Yahweh
seconds.
has prepared his own servant that his soul delighteth in, one that he was put his spirit in to bring truth and judgment to his people and back to the earth. The servant in the scriptures. This is a particular type of Israelite whom Yahweh has chosen and elected that will do his will, his work in the labor of Yahweh. And we will talk about a different type of servant tomorrow. So until tomorrow, Yahweh love you, and so do I. Shalom.
I long for His Spirit. I yearn for His Spirit. I long for His Spirit. I yearn for the Spirit of Yah. All I need, the Spirit of Yah. All I breathe, the Spirit of Yah. Can't you see the Spirit of Yah? Wanna be in the Spirit of Yah. I long for His Spirit. I yearn for His Spirit. I long for His Spirit. I yearn for the Spirit of Yah. All I need, the Spirit of Yah. All I breathe, the Spirit of Yah. Can't you see the Spirit of Yah? Wanna be in the Spirit of Yah. I long for His Spirit. I yearn for His Spirit. I long for
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
I yearn for the Spirit of Yah. All I need, the Spirit of Yah. All I breathe, the Spirit of Yah. Can't you see the Spirit of Yah?